Three games on a Sunday and one on Monday night. VAR's back and worse than ever. And who knew a meter could mean so much? Welcome back to More of a Six. I'm Henry Swain, and I'm joined this evening by Matt, Kyle, Charlie, and Sam as we review Sunday's Premier League action. We're going to get straight into it. You guys can all tell everyone how you are when you start talking. We're going to start off at the City Ground with Forest 3, Brentford 1. Nottingham Forest brushed aside Brentford as they won by 3-1. Scorers were Dan and Doy along with a Chris Wood brace, and Igor Thiago opened his Brentford account with a spot kick, which wasn't enough for Keith Andrews' side. We'll go to Matt first. What did you make of this game?
I had both games on, actually, the Chelsea one as well, and I was mainly watching this, but, I was still flicking between them. Just Brentford just never got going, really. Forest were really intense in their press and tenacious and won the ball really high up often. And a good, really, first viewing. I'm losing my mind. I can't speak anymore. A good first viewing, of Forest, and also Brentford. Good insight to how shocking they'll be this season. I think they were really, really poor. Just made some really simple errors. For a set piece coach as well, I thought set pieces were god awful.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, and I think you're right. It doesn't exactly fill you with much hope for them. Similar to what we were saying about West Ham on the previous episode. Anyway, let's go over to Charlie. Did you catch any of this game, or if not the highlight? Obviously, Palace won.
Well, I was watching the Palace game, believe it or not, but I did watch Match of the Day, and I also saw the goals. And yeah, to be honest, I've been proven wrong. I really thought that, well, obviously it's one game, but I thought that Forest would struggle this year. I still maybe do. I don't think they'll necessarily be able to keep up with Europa League. They made a lot of signings in the last week even. Is it 3 or 4 players? 3 confirmed and Douglas Luiz on the way. And yeah, they were really good. And Chris Wood just looked so sharp as well. That second goal, he took it so well. It's not just a finish as well. That the fact that he immediately was on his bike and making that run.
The pass
before the ball even got to Anderson. Yeah, but I at first I didn't think he meant it, but I think he definitely meant that.
Yeah.
Anderson. And he's the kind of player that he has that in him. But yeah, I just thought they were really impressive. That header as well from Dan and Doy was outrageous. The way he managed to redirect it. Gibbs White was really good. Yeah, Forest just looked like they did at their best last season, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's, to be honest, enough said on the Forest game. We're all probably going to make the same points that Forest played well, Brentford were poor, and that's kind of it. We'll move on to something that's probably going to have a bit more talking points, which is, of course, Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. It was the second 2:00 game on the Sunday. Chelsea failed to score at home for the first time this calendar year as they faced a resolute Crystal Palace side. Palace dominated large parts of the game and survived a late Chelsea onslaught to earn a precious point at Stamford Bridge. However, the game was not without its controversy. On what could be his final Crystal Palace appearance, Eberechi Eze saw a thunderously struck free kick ruled out for a rule which I don't think any of us knew existed. Sam, what did you make of the Palace performance first off?
I thought that we played exactly how I assumed we'd play. We were very industrious. We played very counter-attacking football like we do against the bigger teams. That's what Glasner likes to do. You notice how against like the smaller teams will be like high pressing and all action, but then against the bigger teams we sit back a bit. But when it comes to that incident specifically, my main problem really is not the rule itself. It's the fact that it's been a rule for 6 years?
6 years.
6 years. And it's never, ever been called as far as any of us know. If they're going to make a change to the rules and enforce it more, they should surely let clubs know about that before the start of the season, because we obviously didn't know if they are enforcing that more strongly about this, because that was part of the set-piece plan, as it is with many other teams. So I just feel like maybe it's a bit of an internal thing from the Premier League. They decided they're going to clamp down on it more and not notify the clubs about it? I don't know. It's strange to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think so. Obviously, there was communication about the restriction, I guess, of excessive holding that they're doing now from set pieces. But as far as I'm aware, there was no communication about this. It's been a rule for about 6 years, as we said, came in 2019. This is the first ever time it's been used in a Premier League game. And as you would have all seen, and people may have seen on my TikTok, you know, I went through. I watched the the Premier League release every season, every direct free kick goal, and I watched all of them, and 95% of them would have been ruled out if this rule had been applied. And it just makes you wonder. You've never seen a referee spray paint a line a meter from a wall, and it almost felt like they were just trying to justify that decision, and then they did it later in the Man United game as well. Spray painted a line that I don't think any of us have ever seen that before. I think if that goal stands, no one complains because none of us. Well, I certainly didn't even know that was a rule. Charlie, have you got anything else to add on that front? And then also, was there any other issues with the game you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, it's just similar stuff to Sam in terms of that. It's just a lack of consistency. I feel like we just say the same things every time regarding VAR. That if it was used correctly, it could be so helpful for the game, and it could, improve the game a lot and refereeing in this country. But it's just so inconsistent, incompetence. Possibly a penalty just before half time as well. Didn't seem like Sanchez got much of the ball. Didn't get much of Gueye either, but it was reckless. It was, to be honest, all I will say is we had our bit of luck with VAR in the FA Cup final. So I'm not going to sit here and be all against VAR because I've said to all my friends that have said to me about that game, you win sometimes, you lose sometimes with VAR, and it will come back round. And I guess it has. But to be honest, I'm happy with a point. I thought we played well. Chelsea away, I was expecting a much harder game, actually. I thought they were disappointing. Palmer was really poor, I thought, specifically.
Yeah.
Gave the ball away a lot. And, to be honest, Wharton was really good. There's lots of positives for us to take. And still haven't lost since that 5-0 defeat against Newcastle last season. So, yeah.
Similar run to what Brighton went on after losing to Forest as well. Very similar circumstances, I guess you could say. Kyle, as a neutral watching that game, do you agree with us what we're saying about the free kick decision?
I think when it's disallowed and people are thinking that it's been disallowed for another reason, because there was that whole thing about that it was Gueye who had shoved Caicedo out the way and that's why it was disallowed. I think if people aren't even picking up from this rule and the Premier League are having to put out a statement explaining a rule, that just kind of shows how minute of a rule it is and how it really shouldn't have came into play or maybe made the difference that it does. But from a neutral, I thought that it was extremely harsh, and overall, it was just a bit of a poor game. I think Palace, you did your job well in sitting tight and you defended well, but I think Chelsea they did not look great at all. Like you mentioned, Palmer looked really poor, kind of just a bit late to everything, kind of just not up to speed. I think the only player really that I've noticed for Chelsea who had a good game, and purely because it was his debut, was Estevao when he came on. I thought he's incredibly raw, but at least he actually kind of was attempting to, take his man on. We forget that he's really young. I'd like to see him be given a start against I believe it's West Ham next week. Chelsea have. So.
Yeah. No, he looked good. I think Mitchell dealt with him well, just as he did with Salah. I think that's probably quite an underrated Palace player. You're gonna have to excuse me. I've got a very sniffly nose, but it's interesting to hear your viewpoint as a neutral. I think that the main issue is that this is exactly what you said. When you're seeing the replays, you're thinking, well, that's not a foul. It's a shoulder to shoulder. He's just out-muscled him. The commentators thinking the same thing. And then it isn't actually until Darren England announces it to the stadium that we actually know what it's been disallowed for.
It almost felt like they were just looking for a reason. Do you know what I mean?
But
they checked it.
This feels to be the thing,
and then
doesn't
they
it?
were like, it's not enough for it to be a push because he's using his shoulder, and they're both going at each other, and he's just a bit stronger than him. And then they've just gone, well, we don't like not like I'm not saying there's an agenda, but like they almost like thought in their head that this shouldn't be a goal because
Well, I
Gue's
agree.
got
I
him out of
think
the way, and they've scored, and they've just decided this is the rule they're going to enforce this time.
I completely agree. I think that they were looking for a foul from Gay, and then when they realised that there wasn't a foul, it must have clicked in their heads because they've had the rules drilled into them all summer long that, oh wait, hold on, he's less than a metre away. We can give that as a, we can reverse the decision. Interestingly, 3 years ago, VAR would not have been able to intervene with that. Now it is. So that's just just how it goes, I guess. Finally, Matt, you were being actually quite vocal on social media. I was spent most of the game arguing with Miguel Delaney. So that was fun. Because he refused to accept that he was in the wrong and got very sensitive with me. So that was very funny. But apparently, I've heard from
You
somebody that
were
wasn't.
inciting a pylon, though. To be fair to him,
I
You were.
was.
He's a twat though. No one cares.
Somebody needs to explain to him that when you post things on social media, people are allowed to share them and do with them how they please. That's kind of the whole idea. But I've got a couple of people I know that were in the press box, and they said that it was providing quite good entertainment because everybody was asking him why he was so focused on this random person on Twitter, essentially. Matt, what did you make of? Let's ask. What did you make of Palace's performance?
As I said, I was mainly watching the Forest Brentford game, so I didn't catch that much of it. But I saw the main highlights. I guess you could say the Eze free kick. Come on, if we're giving that as a what was it? Too close to the wall. Pack it in. Let's pack the game in already. How we're disallowing goals like this? It's a joke. And I was getting quoted so much about oh, he's a Brighton fan. He's saying that. It's not about that. It's about this is the game everyone loves. We should be standing together on this. No one wants to see goals like that ruled out. It's a joke. It's a joke.
100%.
Yeah, but on the bits I did see, you were positionally and just defensively quite disciplined as well. Your shape was really good. I think the thing is with Chelsea, I think that I was saying they're going to have a bit of a slower start because they haven't had as much of a pre-season and as much preparation. They had the Club World Cup and then straight back off on holiday for the players when everyone else is coming back. So I do sort of expect the next month or so to be a bit more catching up for Chelsea. But maybe I've gotten too high in seconds. But I don't know. We'll see. But to go away to Stamford Bridge, a point is a great result in any context really. But yes, it's a good point to start the season, even if you should have won.
Yeah, for sure. I think the last thing I'll say on the decision is I'd understand it if the player is close to the wall and interferes with the wall. So say they knock them off balance or they're in the middle of the wall or in the front of the wall and but Gay doesn't actually have any impact on the wall. Not to mention the fact that context really does matter because it doesn't matter if anybody's close to the wall or the wall was impeded because the wall had no chance of stopping that free kick. It's gone past the wall. And because Robert Sanchez has poppadoms for hands, it's gone in the back of the net. It's
but
not.
I think that's what I was saying, though. I feel like the wall had no chance of stopping that ball, but Caicedo might have. So they were checking to see if him getting Caicedo out of the way was the problem, and then they were like, "It's not," but we don't like that could stand legally, so we're going to give it for another thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like that's what happened
with Gray. I think he's very clearly been tasked with moving Caicedo out of the way, and then Eze will have a shot through. And that's there's nothing wrougn with that. It's just a set piece routine, and they've carried it out well.
Does that not prove that the clubs obviously weren't told about this rule? Or
exactly.
That it was going to be enforced more strongly.
Yeah.
Because if they were, then there's no way they'd task an individual. And we see that a lot. With Man United, Harry Maguire is normally the player that's in charge of standing between the wall and the kind of huddle of players and getting somebody out of the way to create space.
Wonder why.
Massive, massive boy. Anyways, we'll stop moaning about that. It's a good point. We move on. And let's go on to the big game on Super Sunday. Probably the biggest game of the weekend in terms of, excitement. And, in standard fashion, it didn't really live up to the hype particularly. Anyway, Manchester United 0, Arsenal 1. I think when we look back on this result in a few months' time, we won't necessarily remember how it played out. But I think it's fair to say that Man United were comfortably the better side. The only goal of the game came as a result of an all-time Bayern dear mistake, with Ricardo Calafiori capitalising to score the only goal of the game. A new-look front line caused Arsenal issues as Cunha and Mbuemo proved their worth with a handful of efforts that came close but ultimately missed. And at the last, well, I mean, in added time, the final minutes, a controversial decision to not award United a late penalty when William Saliba appeared to wipe out the Brazilian Matheus Cunha, left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth and kind of dragged up a bit of a talking point for us. Kyle, you watched this game. What did you make of Manchester United's performance?
I think, like you said, to be fair, that they were comfortably the better side. A lot of my mates from home who I watched the game with are Arsenal fans, and I said to them after the full-time whistle, yeah, you might have got the 3 points today, but surely that's not an encouraging performance to actually go off and like build upon, because they did not really play well. And imagine my shock, the only goal they score is a set piece. I mean, it was just written in the stars really with them lot, to be honest. But out of that, I can't really remember a time where they actually created much, to be honest. Arsenal, I thought Gyökeres was really poor. I know it'll take him a bit of time to like get used to the league, but for the amount of money that they're paying, you'd really hope that it's quite a quick transition of him getting used to playing in England, you know. But yeah, I think United be disappointed with the outcome of the result, but I think overall their performance, they were playing a very defensively solid team, and I think that they'll realise, and their fans should realise, that for the most games that they play on this season, if they play like they did yesterday, then they've got a really good chance of having a decent season.
I mean, yeah, 100%. And I think also it's important to know that if it wasn't for a handful of really good saves from David Raya, and Mbuemo came close with a sort of bicycle kick, almost Richarlison-esque effort. And I love how that we're going to call any bicycle kick for Richarlison-esque from now on. Just for Carl's pleasure. But no, there were positive signs. They looked a lot better, more well drilled. I think they're still missing a profile in midfield, which is unsurprising why they're going for Baleba. But just quickly before we move on to we'll go to Sam next. But I think that Angelo Stiller would be a great shout for United, and I know that Kyle put that forward in the transfer video because I listened back to it the other day, and I actually do think watching the Super Cup at the weekend, he'd be a superb fit. Anyway, Sam, I'm going to ask you a bit of a different question. What did you kind of make more of, not necessarily just of Arsenal's performance, but does this kind of reinforce the fact that we think they're probably not going to be at the top of the table come the end of the season?
Not necessarily. I don't think this performance is something that you look at and go, yeah, they're absolutely nowhere they're going to be up there. I don't think they're going to win the league, and this performance hasn't swayed me. I think I put them third or fourth. I think this performance has swayed me away from where I put them, anyways. They won when they played bad. I mean, if anything, that's a sign of a good team, is it not? And yeah, no, they weren't good. I don't think they were amazing, but they got the job done. So they just need to improve on the way that they do it and how comfortably they do it. But the fact they're able to dig in deep like a unit like that on the first game of the season, it's not the worst sign ever, I don't think.
No, for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm just asking the questions. I'm trying to provide
Yeah.
some interesting conversation from you all. But yeah, no, completely agree with you. Charlie, I'll come to you next. We saw obviously 2 Premier League debuts for Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko. My question is, obviously, Sesko much more limited minutes than Gyökeres. My question for you is, out of those 2, who do you think will have a better season based on what we've seen and what you know of them as players?
Well, I feel like if Arsenal, first of all, I want to say I think that yesterday is a good sign for Arsenal. I think the easiest way I think you can win a Premier League title is by not conceding goals. You don't have to score many. If you can just game by game concede very little goals, then you can cruise your way through. But United had them under the sword for significant periods of that game, and they rode it out, and they got a lucky goal, but they got a goal, and they won a game when they really weren't at their best. And yeah, like Sam said, that can be a good sign. But I think for this season, I don't know. I think I've just got a feeling Sesko is so United. I've just got a
Yeah.
feeling. I just think like only really scores screamers. Like just something about him as well that he's got really good like creative players behind him now, and in Buemo, Cunha, Fernandez, and Gyökeres. Look, I feel like a lot of the hate you see online that Gyökeres has got since yesterday is obviously a bit forced. Like people almost looking for him to do poorly, but he didn't look unbelievable. He didn't look great. He looked probably a bit subpar, but it'll take a while to set in. I don't think he'll have a bad year, but I do think that I can just see this United team kicking on a bit. I think Arsenal obviously have a better season, but I think if United kick on, I feel like Sesko will have more influence than Gyökeres will on Arsenal's season, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I also would say that the Gyökeres signing maybe takes. I know it was before, but I think it maybe he's distracting from Sesko, which might take the pressure off him a bit. Which could, we could see that benefit them. Matt, what did you make of this one? What were your thoughts?
Again, yeah, no, as everyone's been saying, United were a lot better. I thought their build out was a lot better in terms of how they. There's been a lot of talk about how they moved De Ligt into midfield, the central centre back even. I thought the wing backs were a lot higher, and in a three at the back as well. They obviously are usually tasked with providing width. They have to be essentially wingers. I thought Sesko was okay when he came on. Nothing, majorly special. Cunha was outstanding, and Wemo was very, very good. Again, just they are crying, and just dying for a centre mid. Ugarte, oh my god, he's one of the worst players in the league. I swear to God. I don't know if you were watching when he came on, and he just stank out the gaff, doesn't he?
He's not very technically gifted, is he?
Yeah, it came to him on the edge of the box, like
I
probably
saw that. That's
30,
crazy.
40 yards out.
The way he kicked that ball was not like a professional footballer.
Yeah,
he looked
two
so
options.
awkward.
Two options on the far side. You got Mbeumo and you got Ahmad. Both in very, very good positions, and both you could definitely get a ball across to. Does he do that? No, I'm Manuel Ugarte. I'm the best player in the world, and I think I could score from 40 yards. So I'm going to have an effort, and it goes sailing way into the Old Trafford crowd. Oh man, I was pissing myself. He's so bad.
I wonder
So
if he
bad,
spoke
man.
to. I wonder if he had any conversations with Ao Tanaka, because as we move on to the final game of today's episode, obviously Leeds United ran out 1-0 winners at Ellen Road over Everton. Leeds returned to the Premier League, returned 3 points for Daniel Farke's side after what I would describe as a very tightly contested affair. There was a questionable decision late on, which led to a Leeds penalty. The officials deeming that James Tarkowski handled the ball despite his best efforts to contain his arm in his natural body shape. I'm deliberately spelling it out like that because I know that there's a bit of disagreement amongst the panel on this decision. So I'm interested to hear everyone's thoughts. Just quickly from me, I was watching it and I was watching it thinking like Leeds are going to really piss me off this year because they don't look that good, but I think they're going to get results and it's going to be annoying. Everton looked just helpless. It almost looked like they were the team that had just been promoted and they were playing for a draw, and they were literally no attempts to attack at any point until really when they went behind. To be honest, really disappointed. Really disappointed. We know that Moyes likes to set up his teams defensively, but my God, I mean, I'm not sure who else on here watched it in full, but they just. Tarkowski and Keane, I haven't checked, but must have had the most passes of any Everton player and the most touches because they were just playing 1-2s with each other. It was so unimaginative and uninspiring. And then, it took until half time to bring Jack Grealish on, but because of their style of football and obviously what they've been asked to do, Jack Grealish gets on the ball and he tries to stand someone up and take them on, and he just ends up turning around and going back. It's just so frustrating. Anyway, with my thoughts out of the way, let's hear from Sam. What did you make of this game this evening?
Sorry. I thought that Leeds were fantastic. To be honest with you, I thought they looked really up for it, really sharp, really fearless. And Everton looked same old Everton. I think we all thought they were. I thought they were going to be better than they are. That was dreadful. They looked like them from last season. Someone who highlighted the game who impressed me, that Tanaka from Leeds. He was absolutely fantastic.
Other than his shoot.
Yeah, no, there was a couple chances, but he was just on it all game, just pressing, created so many chances. He was absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, 100%. Very buzzy, and he's kind of one of those where it is a cliche, but I spent 10 minutes of the first half actually just watching Tanaka play because I just wanted to focus on him a bit. And it's crazy the movement he makes. He's always looking for the ball. He's not scared of it. Sam, what do you think's missing for Everton? Because I completely agree. A lot of us said that they were going to do better, and oh my god, they looked worse than I remember them looking like. I don't know if it's the weight of that dark blue shirt, but there just seems to be a thing at Everton at the moment where they just look shit. I don't know why.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's just one thing. I think there was a lot wrong with that tonight. I think there was a lot wrong. Firstly, they rocked up to game week 1 with no fullbacks. They played Garner at left back and Jacob Ryan at right back. So what's going on there? Their two centre backs looked pretty poor at points. They looked like the Leeds defenders are really causing problems. They're getting at them. Pickford was flapping at the ball in the first half loads. Grealish looked like he wanted to do stuff when he came on, but he really didn't have the chance. And Jai didn't have a chance to run at anyone. Beto may as well have just stayed home. Dewsbury Hall had moments, I guess, at most, but overall, I thought the entire team, the entire 11 was just flat. The entire 11.
Yeah, I really challenge anybody to watch a full 90 minutes of Jordan Pickford and somehow come and tell me that he's better than Dean Henderson. He is so, his distribution is probably some of the worst I've seen this weekend. And I've watched a lot of the kind of League 2, League 1 highlights just now this evening. Just kicks the ball out constantly. That's all he does. And then screams at his teammates. I just don't understand the hype around Jordan Pickford. He had a good few years, but it's time to let him go, I think. Matt, your thoughts on Leeds? I mean, we kind of all backed Sunderland more to stay up out of the 3. And I think we'd probably still say that, given their result against West Ham. But what would you say, does this really change your thoughts on them?
No, I don't know. I think if there is going to be a year where promoted teams are going to stay up, it's going to be this year, because I think you could even say in the first game week that Leeds and Sunderland have looked better, and even Burnley. I watched the Burnley Spurs game back earlier. They were okay, but yeah, they're still going down. But you could say Leeds and Sunderland look better than, I don't know, Brentford, than the Wolves, for example. Wolves are okay again, but nothing special. But Leeds, again, I think you just have to avoid the way to play against Leeds is avoid aerial duels, because obviously they've got so many 6-foot+ players, and that's what their summer philosophy was and their summer strategy. I really like Stack as well. He looked really good. Anton Stack in midfield.
He had a very good game.
Tanaka, superb.
It's a good shout from Charlie, that, because he did say, in fairness
Nonto as well.
Yeah,
Nonto's superb.
And what did you make of the sole goal of the game then, in terms of the penalty?
It's disgraceful. Just let's pat the game in. Come on, how his arm cannot be much more in, and he's moving his arm in, and I've just got so much to say that I can't process it and get it out.
Well, I'll give you a bit of time, because I think if we just get Sam in, because I know that Sam, well, he might change his mind, but I know that Sam did disagree. So, Sam, if you want to just tell us what you think.
I don't see this as the controversy that you're all making it out to be. I really, really don't. He is. Watch it back. I agree. His arm is like down like this, of course, but he is moving his arm towards the ball as it's in that position. And if you actually watch it, as it comes to his arm, he does bat it a little bit. He does, right? I'm not saying that it's like a stonewall pen or anything, but it's absolutely not this scandalous thing that everyone's making out to be at all. He's moving towards the ball.
Let me find it and watch it back. But
Watch it back.
Just how
I promise you he moves his arm towards the ball.
I completely agree, by the way, Sam. In fact, I'd go a step further. I think it's like, I really don't even understand how this is a debate. It goes past his body, hits his arm, and it's a shot on target.
Watch his
How is that not a
shoulder on the
handball?
replay.
His arm is in line with his body. It does not go
Watch
past.
his shoulder on the
I don't
shoulder
care.
tells you.
Like-
Watch his shoulder on the replay. His shoulder moves towards the ball. He moves his body like this. So his arm
Also,
moves towards the ball.
regardless of that, it's a shot on target that's going towards the goal.
No, those are
Right, and it's gone past his body, and it's solely blocked by his arm. I don't even think it's a debate. Like, that is a handball.
It's in the rules. It's in the rules that they do harsher decisions when the ball is going towards goal. That is in.
Yeah,
that is
of
a
course.
thing that they added.
The only thing I would
years
say is that I don't think the referee makes the decision. I think the linesman makes the decision, because there was quite a bit of a delay, and I think I take your point, and I know what you mean. And yeah, of course, I think if it happened to against one of our teams, you want it to be given. But what I will say is that I'm not convinced that if it goes to VAR, it's given as a penalty. I just don't.
Yeah, but you can say that about decisions every single week. That's VAR shit. We know that VAR is absolute shit, and stuff like that happens. I sit every single week when we're watching Palace, and my dad goes, "You know what? If that won't go to VAR, it won't be given." And I like, it happens all the time. It's just Matt's reaction that's getting me, because he's making it out. Because there's been a lot of scandals this week. Don't get me wrong. There's been some bad decisions.
That is one of them.
The Bournemouth game, Palace game, obviously. Right.
That is awful.
Those two are pretty bad. I don't remember any of the others off the top of my head, but this one is not in that category at all. It's not.
Okay, I wanna bring in Kyle, because you've bit your tongue quite a lot there. What have you got to say on that decision?
I think the whole argument of you saying where like he's moved towards the ball, if a defender is scared of moving towards the ball and blocking the ball whilst having their arm behind their back because they think that they will still give away a handball, the game is dead. It is so far gone if that is the case. If a defender is thinking, oh, I can't move to block this ball. By the way, it was a deflected shot as well, so the ball has changed direction. If it was a straight shot with no deflection, I could kind of understand it, but he has hit it hard. It has took a deflection. He has went, obviously he's changed direction and moved towards the ball.
I agree, but the thing I'll say is that I actually think that when you watch it in slow motion, it looks like he's moving his arm, but the speed that shot was slapped. It was very hard.
Yeah.
I think the speed that it's happened, what he's done is he's tucked his arm behind his back and attempted to lean to block it with his chest, and hasn't been able to physically move quick enough.
Yeah.
I think you do need to. I think you sometimes, and I understand that it's in the rules that it doesn't matter the intent, but I do think you need to take in the context, because he said in his interview after, we all listened to it before we started recording, that what am I meant to do? What am I meant to do?
Yeah, but he's not going to go, oh, yeah, no, it was.
No.
Like I said, I don't think it's relevant. I don't think it's relevant what he's meant to do, whether it took a deflection, how hard the ball was hit. It doesn't matter. There was a shot that was going towards goal that went past his body and hit his arm. It's a handball.
The rules are stricter for a reason going towards goal.
So the rules,
if that happened against your team, if you were Leeds and that wasn't given, you would be absolutely fuming. That's all.
But at the same time, you understand why Everton fans are upset.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's not this scandal that Matt specifically is making it out to be.
Okay, so just to clarify, you're happy with the rules being used by the letter of the law in this scenario, but you weren't happy with it with the Eze disallowed free kick.
Because there's been consistency with that. There's been consistency.
No, because you're wrong. No, the difference with the Eze one is that it's not been used consistently at all.
No, it's fine.
And
I just wanted to clear that up. I just wanted to check.
I think you could get 10 examples from last season where a shot was heading towards goal, it's hit an arm, and that's been given as a penalty. I
I'm not saying
think
the rules are
all these
good.
other things that we're like adding into the equation, like whether he was twisting his body or whether it took a deflection or etc. etc. That ball could have ended up in the back of the net, right? That like there was a it took a deflection.
Yeah,
If anything, that means
literally,
it's more likely to end up in the back of the net because the keeper's not going to know where it's going.
It's
So-
not right, but if he doesn't move his arm in like this as he's diving down, that could be a goal. It could be. He made the decision to move his arm like this towards the ball. You see his
Okay,
shoulder.
game's
Watch
gone.
his shoulder.
Game's
It
gone.
goes towards the ball.
Right,
Game's gone.
Matt. What would you like to say finally on that little debate?
Where on earth?
'Cause I
I'm
don't know
watching
if
it
you missed
now.
it, but it got a little.
Where on earth does he move his arm towards the ball? Oh my
I want
god!
to rewatch it now.
I'm rewatching it.
Everybody's
I'm
gonna
He
rewatch
doesn't
it.
make his frame
Let's just do a
any
watch
bigger.
along.
Like
Let's do a Tarkowski handball watch along.
it's his arm. He's being penalised for having an arm. What's he supposed to do? Chop his arm off? Oh my god!
I
The
actually-
game
It's
is
like,
gone.
he's been penalised because a shot on goal has hit his arm. Like
The
that's
game is
football.
gone.
It doesn't matter whether he meant it
Question.
or not, or
It's
whether he
not-
tried to get out of
question.
the way. That's just how the game works.
Question: Judging by that logic, if the hands were in, the arms were in like this, and it hits their arm, judging by that logic, that's a penalty.
Well, no, because it would have hit his chest. It's not the
Or
same
like-
logic.
I'm
as
sorry, I
Side
just
on.
rewatched it. What
Side
do you
on.
mean he doesn't move his hand towards the ball?
He does
what
not.
What are you talking
There's no
about?
chance. There's no chance.
He literally goes like this. He goes, what that? He literally hits the middle of his bicep.
Where
like
on
that.
earth
He goes
are you
like
seeing
this.
that?
What are you
He knows,
talking
by the way,
about?
as well. Another thing I want to add.
can
He
see-
knows
yes,
when
you
he
can
gets
see it.
up. He knows.
He turns around and
He knows
goes,
he's handballed it. He goes. He's shitting his pants when he gets up. Let me get a still of this because
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think he knows instantly that he's potentially.
he
the
knows that man knows full well that he's just handballed it.
look at him. He's
no.
guilty.
He knows it's. I don't think he's like saying that it didn't hit his arm, but I think he's pleading his innocence of that. Like he said in the interview, what was he meant to do? Just not go and block a ball because he's got his arm.
It's look, it's
behind his back.
unfortunate. Don't get me wrong, it's unfortunate, but I think that is just football. Like if a ball is heading towards the goal and it could be going in and it hits someone's arm and that takes it away from goal, that's a handball.
But if
I know
we're-
it's rough because it's not his fault, but that is just like
But if
I don't
we're getting to the stage now of where defenders, like I said earlier, will be too scared to go for a ball because they're moving their arm towards
The off
the
chance,
ball,
yeah.
despite having it behind their back, then football is so far gone.
I
don't think
I
just
disagree
can't
because
go
I
to-
think you see lots of defenders do this where they like put their hands together behind the back, and if he does that,
But he's
I think that-
diving like.
yeah,
He's
but
trying
he
to find his
dives
balance.
toward. He's look at him. He's diving in a way so,
So
that
he got
his
two
arm
legs.
goes towards
He doesn't
the ball.
like
Look
move
at how
out
he
like that.
falls.
There's no way.
He's
no,
diving.
it's not
he's
intentional.
more-
I'm not
he's
arguing it's
more
intentional,
leaning.
but it's just unfortunate.
He's more leaning.
Let me
I
just
don't
say
think
as well,
the arm
you two
comes away from the
are
body.
the only two I've seen that say it is a penalty. Only two.
I think I think that's because there's a vast amount of people who are on the football's
hate
being
Leeds.
ruined. No,
You're so
It
and
is.
also
It's
hate Leeds.
so woke.
There is a vast
With
amount of people that are
decisions
on
like
the
this.
on the football's being ruined. Like we hate VAR, etc. Train, and they want it to fit their agenda. And I just don't think that this is one of those that is a new thing. I feel like this kind of decision happened like. I guess I could find like 6 or 7 clips from last season if I took the time where a ball has been heading towards goal. Obviously, it's slightly different because he's trying to put his arm behind him. But at the end of the day, the ball's heading towards goal. It's going on target and it's hit his arm and it's
One
gone wide.
way,
That's a handball. That is football.
one way or another. Where is the consistency? Like whether you think it's a pen or not. You look at Friday night. Oh shit! You look at the handball with what's his face, Senesi. It's just
Yeah, no,
brainless.
yeah.
I don't think there's
come
consistency
on.
between them two decisions. I don't think they have anything to do with each other, really.
Yeah, but
I don't
like,
agree. I don't
you
disagree.
know the
that there's
handball
bad
rules.
consistency.
The handball rules in general.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like
Yeah, those are very different handball rules because there is a separate set of rules when the ball's going on goal. Like
I do.
Yeah,
Look,
but
I get where you're
it's-
coming from, guys, but I don't think that this is like a matter like what you guys were saying about a defender being scared to block a ball. I don't
Yeah,
think that's going to influence
I
this.
think you'd
Because I
be
don't.
right-
It's unfortunate, but that happens in football. Like you
This-
do get unlucky sometimes.
just
Like, we-
highlights the problem with VAR though. It's like I am of the opinion that if you're a Leeds fan, you rightly feel as though you should get a pen, And if you're an Everton fan, you rightly feel a bit miffed that you've been given a pen against you. Both of those things can be true because of VAR, right?
it's
Yeah.
fair.
I don't
Well, I think
disagree with
that's.
either of them. I just don't think
I
it's a
think.
massive scandal like all the other ones.
I think that's a fair point, and I think that's probably a good place to end that discussion before Matt throws his chair through his monitor. Unfortunately, his connection kept dropping, so I didn't get to experience a full crash out. And he, for some
My
reason, on
voice
my
is
screen,
being muted by the app.
yeah, it makes sense.
My
But
opinion's been
who's controlling
muffled.
the recording? Sam, isn't it? That's funny that it's been mute.
Yeah.
Funny that. Right. We're
He's
going to
putting
move
me
on
out.
to the final
Oh.
segment of this episode. It's just going to be just a few minutes. What we've learned from this weekend. So, firstly, the first talking point that I've come up with today is that Sunderland's heavy spending could see them avoid the drop, and we're just going to discuss this. I want you to tell me your thoughts on that, and you're going to have 30, 40 seconds to tell me. So we'll go to Charlie first. What do you think about that statement?
I think that this year, whether or not they stay up, I think this year will be a much more close run thing in terms of relegation. I think we're going to have a real relegation battle this year for like the first time in a few years. Last season, it took till late October for a promoted team to win a Premier League game. This year, 2 out of the 3 have won on the opening day. And a lot of teams have looked poor. Obviously, Wolves played an unbelievable City team, but they looked very poor. And City kind of just took the mickey out of them. And also West Ham looked awful, didn't really offer much. Everton looked rubbish tonight. I feel like there are a lot of teams that Brentford also looked awful in that, especially in that first half. There are a lot of teams this season that could be down there. And I don't want to necessarily say whether or not I think Sunderland. I don't think you can read too much into the Sunderland game personally. Leeds maybe more, because again, it's a similar situation. You're at home, the fans are all up for it. You're playing against a pretty under par side on the day, but I don't want to read too much into the Sunderland game, but I do definitely think this year it will be much closer. It'll be a very entertaining. I'm looking forward to it. The relegation battle. I just hope we're not near it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, obviously, I missed a chunk of that. I don't know what happened. I've switched to my 5G, so hopefully that works. I'm going to just go to the next talking point and ask someone else. So Kyle, West Ham and Brentford in trouble? Question mark. What do you make of that?
I'll let others speak more about West Ham, because I said in our first episode of the podcast that I had Brentford to go down, and I'm still sticking to that. I just think with Norgard, their captain, gone, and Buemo gone, Wissa, I don't know if you've seen this. Well, they're calling it journalism, but journalism showing that he's unfollowed Brentford, he's changed his profile picture, all of this. So he's obviously not happy there. So potentially without Wissa, their best manager probably of their modern history, I just think they just don't have enough to get by anymore. I think they had a very good manager last year and 2 like genuine, real good players up front scoring a lot of goals. But I just think that the Otara signing, I think he's a good player, but I just don't think it will be enough to keep them up or keep them competitive. Obviously, they'll win some games, but I just when I looked at their starting lineup against Forest, it was a very just team. Like I looked at it and I was just like, it's just very nothingy. Like there's no real players that I'm kind of see and think, very decent player there. Maybe Damsgaard, but
yeah, for sure. I think, and that's kind of it. That Brentford were that team that kind of just had good players, like kind of under the kind of maybe mainstream focus good players. Like you mentioned, Norgard, Damsgaard as well, who's obviously still there. Sam, we'll come to you then about West Ham. What do you make of that? Do you think West Ham are in trouble, or is it too early to tell?
It's hard. I think realistically, if I'm looking at how I think the season's going to go, I think Potter's gone in a month and they get someone else and they'll be fine. So if Potter's there the whole season, they could well go down. If they do what everyone thinks they're going to do, which is sack Potter in a month and get someone else, they probably won't. But they're just a pretty boring team at the moment. What's going on there? I think I saw something on the Overlap. A fan said that they had a sporting director. He's gone now, and their owner's become he's become the sporting director. So they're not looking too good on that front. I don't know if that's true. I just saw a fan say that on the overlap.
I think it is. It was Tim Stighton, the sporting director, which they sacked.
It was it is it Sullivan who's in charge of West Ham?
David Sullivan. Yeah,
he was the sporting director, and it was terrible. And then they brought in this guy last season, and now they've sacked him again, and he's made himself sporting director again. So
just mental.
It's bleak times for them.
Yeah, and the people in charge of football clubs just prove to continue being, for the most part, absolute madmen. The final talking point.
Can I just mention a personal highlight of the weekend for me on social media was I don't know if anyone else saw the screenshot of the Twitter space, the West Ham fans and their profile pictures. Sam, I'll send it to you and you can overlay it on the podcast.
Okay.
But essentially, they'd it was basically the two speakers on this West Ham podcast, their profile pictures. One of them had Graham Potter's face over Jeffrey Epstein, and the other had Graham Potter's face over Osama bin Laden. And the caption was West Ham fans taking the opening day well, and that was probably my favourite thing I've seen on social media in recent times. That was unbelievable.
You see the Kill Potter one as well.
His bio is #Kill Potter. It's like trending on Twitter.
We have had some funny moments already. Twitter is. I don't understand how anyone can't have Twitter. I know that it's an absolute cesspit at the best of times, but some of the shit that it produces is genuinely.
There's some great stuff in the Palace Twitter.
My goodness!
I'm a fan of a couple
have you seen on Brighton Twitter? For some reason, I see a lot of Brighton Twitter stuff, and there's a guy called BHA Aqua who's made a second account.
Oh my god, he's a fucking tool. He's a tool.
He's pretending.
He's a fucking
I'll give
tool.
the listeners a bit of context. He's pretending to be a 54-year-old man on another account, and he's just putting out the worst takes. And his mates called him out for it on the first day he did it, but he's kept it up. He's kept going.
He's so fucking annoying.
I just saw people telling him.
No, but I think you have to be 15 if you're doing that. Like,
no, he is. Yeah,
he probably actually is like 15.
No, he is. Yeah, I think he's 16. To be fair.
So I'm not. I didn't want to mention it to give him any coverage, but it just made me laugh. The people just telling him to shut the fuck up and get on with it. Anyway, the final talking point before we end today's episode is directed at Matt. Matt, I want your thoughts on this statement. Well, question: will we finally have a real title race this year?
I think there's argument for both sides. I think I think City probably look the strongest in terms of who you're looking at in the title contenders this weekend. I think Chelsea, the fact that I think they're going to start slowly kind of rules them out, and maybe even in my predictions takes them down a little bit. But and Liverpool as well look very, very open on the transition, whereas City look good out of possession, and with their rest defence as well look good.
What about Spurs?
You could see Spurs. I've got them top 4 to be fair, but
Frank's got a plan.
I don't see much of a reason unless they're hit by a lot of injury. If they need to be active in the last weeks of the window, the last 2 or so weeks, I don't see much reason, why that's not an outrageous shout. If they build some momentum, carry it into October, November, December, strengthen a bit more in January.
Yeah.
If they're still in that position.
But then there is also the argument that they are Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, exactly. But as well with Arsenal, I don't think Arsenal have minerals for a title race.
Yes,
again this
we
year.
said this. We said this 100%.
Yeah,
I will say
who on earth would predict Manchester City to win the title again?
I don't think any of us did that. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode of More of a Six. Episode 6, in fact, of More of a Six. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed our breakdown of the league. This is kind of going to be the format going forward. So on a Saturday, posted on a Monday, you will get the reaction to Friday night's game and Saturday's games as well, plus any sort of highlights that we see, as well as our weekly instalment of how Wharton and Hersham getting on, which is going to be a frequent feature because we love them very much. And then the episode that you get on a Thursday will be the Sunday games and the Monday night game, and then also, excuse me, and then also we'll talk about kind of the talking points from the weekend as we did today. Saturday's recording will obviously also have the More of a Six quiz, which was won. But which one of you won it yesterday? Matt won,
Me.
because
I
Kyle.
think it was. Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Kyle almost had a tantrum. So
Can't
yeah,
wait to watch that one.
Bloody Watford.
but we're going to be keeping track of those scores, and the winner at the end of the season will get a prize. I haven't decided what yet. So thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe, follow, share, rate 5 stars, all of that shit. And yeah, we'll see you next weekend. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.